Haynes there. It's a pleasure connecting with you today. I've got a special guest joining us. She's recently graduated from the LMA course, and she'll be sharing with us in terms of her journey, how she found the whole experience and everything in between. So firstly, Annalisa, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Let's start with essentially the first question, introduction question. What's your full name? Where you currently based, and what you currently up to?
My full name is Annalisa. I am based in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm currently in a shift in my career, getting a certification and looking for a new job.
Okay. So I suppose, Annalisa, place to start is, let's start with rewinding time right now. Before you came across the LMA course, where was you in terms of your life? What problems or resistance or issues were you experiencing in your life, if you were to just kind of describe that for us?
Sure. So the biggest problem was that I had lost my job in December of last year. And of course, this was a really bad year to be on the job market. So it's been 9 months without work. And that was a huge sense of failure for me, having lost my job and being unable to find a job. So a lot of negative self-talk there, a huge amount of, just overall beating myself up. So that was one aspect of it. Another aspect was obsessive thinking, overthinking, not moving to action, not feeling motivated, and particularly obsessing over this one person that I couldn't get out of my head. And because I couldn't get out of my head, I couldn't move to act. So I felt very trapped. Is how I guess I would describe it.
Right. So you had lost your job and you find yourself kind of overthinking at the same time about a specific person. So around this time, was it when you came across our advert? Was it? Okay.
Yes. So I saw something online. I think it was YouTube, and clicked and watched it. And there was I think that was an invitation to a live session then on a Saturday morning. And I was transported, at least to some degree initially, right away, just by the content in that very first portion. I felt a shift occur in me, and there was no doubt. Like there was no question in my mind when the course was offered up. I was like, yep. that was a really easy decision that I made.
Wow. So I suppose, the reason why I'm saying wow is you're saying essentially you had lost your job and so forth. So
yeah.
Did you feel any form of like resistance in terms of when that opportunity came upon, as in to join LMA course? Or
I certainly felt resistance in the sense that, I mean, I have a sum of money that I'm living on, and of course you think, well, gosh, how long is this going to stretch? How long can this last? But if a person is not functioning, like if you're not really functioning at the optimal rate, you're not going to be able to move forward anyway. So I recognized that I was so stymied that it was an investment in myself. I had to make the investment in myself to be able to, I'm not going to get the job that I want, or the man that I want, or the place to live that I want, if I can't get ahead of myself and my own crippling behaviors and thought patterns. So I knew, because I understand psychology, even though mine is messed up to a certain extent, that I had to do something like this to get back in the game.
Right. So what ended up putting any fears or doubts to rest and make you make that decision so fast, let's say?
I think that, well, certainly the initial content was very powerful, but the course structure itself was something that very much appealed to me. Having the weekly modules, and having, sort of like each day, just the way that it broke down in terms of a short sprint of like 6 weeks, as opposed to, it's not too short, it was not too long. So I felt like the design of the course itself was very accessible and manageable. Like I can do this. I can, and in fact, this is about the time it's going to take to really turn my head around. So I believed in the, just the structure itself as being dead on what it should
Mm.
be.
Prior to that, have you ever done inner work within yourself? If so, what sort of inner work?
Well, I mean, I've done a lot of, spiritual kinds of, wanderings. I have done meditation. I have done, some self-help books. I'm also a facilitator of, things around leadership and communication and so forth. So, whenever you're the teacher,
Mm.
you also learn that content. But I have never done, like a retreat or anything as structured as this. It's really just been on my own, listening to things or reading things, but not a specific course like this.
Right. So it's the first time this was the first ever course, would you say, to do it?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So that's quite a decision then. That's quite a
Yeah.
decision for you to make. And you're saying, essentially you enjoyed the content during the free secrets to remake yourself webinar, and that made you enroll and join LMA. Yeah.
Yes.
So as soon
Well,
as you, oh yeah.
yes, I'm sorry. I was going to say it was after the first live session, which was like an hour, I think. But anyway, yeah.
Okay. So essentially, after you had made that decision and you joined LMA, what ended up surprising you the most or made you feel the happiest about the decision?
Well, I know that I'm not sure that those are both the same thing. I would say what surprised me the most was the impact of being, involved with the LMA family on Facebook. That surprised me the most because I pulled my shield out and I don't interact with people. And I thought, oh, that'll just be, whatever. Those are just a bunch of happy people that don't really have problems there.
Mm,
They wouldn't understand me,
right.
But the experience I had with that was so different. That really surprised me. That and helped me. It was a huge key component. And what was the other aspect you had asked? What surprised me or made me happiest?
Yeah.
Well, I guess what made me happiest is that I began to move. I began to get into action, and I felt like after a certain, to me, it's sort of like tumblers clicking in a lock. Like you're getting all this information in, and it's starting to make sense. It's starting to make sense, and then something breaks open, and it's not what you expected. It may not necessarily follow from the content because it's your experience, right? It's your breakthrough, it's your transformation. And for me, I experienced just like excitement about my future, just thinking that I could have a future again and being really excited thinking about it. And at the same time, like rid myself almost completely of my obsessive thinking about this person. And that blew me away. I did not expect that as an outcome to this. It just happened. It just happened naturally because I was shifting my thoughts, focusing on other things, moving to action, changing my habits. And that just was a natural byproduct that made me the happiest.
Wow. So tell us about that in terms of, was there like a specific module that made you feel that shift specifically, or was there a module that you found the most insightful in regards to that shift?
That's a really good question. I think that something started. I know what really got my motors going was the module where we talked about not rejection, failure being a lesson.
Mm.
And I remember particularly the slides of all of these, you know, famous people and celebrities who have had all of these failures. It makes me emotional because it just is such a burden to feel like a failure when you know that you can succeed at a lot of things. I have been very successful in my life, and I've had success, lost it, had success, lost it. And I think of those people on those slides, and it's like, you know, there's got to be another curve for me coming up, and it's not going to end in, you know, a big failure dip this time. And anyway, I don't know. Considering the fact that I could actually move past this and go surpass where I've been before, go even higher, go even further, it just sort of broke some mental chains off of me, and made me, I guess, think about something other than the same old rabbit chasing, you know, or dog chasing rabbit thoughts in my head. It just, it broke through those it captured my imagination, you know, it brought in my innovative, stimulated, creative brain back into gear. Like, wait a second, I am not out of this. I am not out of this game. I can still make something happen here.
The energy you're radiating is making me feel excited right now. I'm trying to keep calm, but no, I can feel it. I can feel it across the screen. It sounds like you really enjoyed week 3. That's the module you're referring to there. Module 3, Clarity and Purpose Roadmap. Okay. What would you say, back to this question, what's different to just, you've studied books before, you're saying you've read books or whatever, maybe YouTube videos. What makes this course different from other things you had tried in the past?
Well, I think that there's a combination of things. One is definitely your authenticity that comes through very, very clearly. Your humility. You know, it's not very frequent, and I've not done a lot of professional development or personal development seminars or courses like this, but you know, when people talk about principles in these senses, sometimes it comes across as if they've mastered it. You know, that they're already doing it. They're already there. They've already. And so that's great. But on the other hand, you know, you don't want somebody that has never failed, that you can't relate to, that has no. So when you give your story and your testimonial and explain where you've been, and you know what has worked getting to you to where you are, it's very powerful, and you're very believable. And so I think just you, Tim, are a huge part of it. The way you come across, the way you speak, what your story is, what your own testimony is, I think is extremely powerful. And that's a unique brand, obviously, that nobody can duplicate. But other than that, I did sing praises for the, you know, the structure of the program. I think that's good. Obviously, the online, the Facebook online, what do you call it? Connection for everyone to connect was great. I'm trying to think it two or three things at a time, and of course, we know the brain is not good at multitasking.
That's true.
But I guess for me, I sat and did something that I don't normally do, which was like, I watched those modules and I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote, taking notes, doing the exercises. I did every single one of them. I didn't do all of the challenges, but I did all of the exercises. I, you know, did the journaling and all of those things. And I haven't taken those steps before because I haven't been as compelled to do that by the material and by the, you know, the leader. So that's how I would answer that.
So it's almost like you were given the tools, but you were compelled enough to actually use the tools, and that's made a difference.
Exactly. Exactly.
Got you. So let's talk about, because, one of the things you were saying about the Facebook group, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that story from LMA alumni that they would have never dreamt ever being on Facebook, ever being involved in the online group. We've heard that every time. In fact, we had a woman who was off it for like 10 plus years and essentially got involved with Facebook with us. So somebody listening right now would also be thinking the same. Another Facebook group.
Right.
What made you feel like, yeah, let me get involved with these people. They seem quite joyful right now, but let me just get involved and join this community?
Well, one of the things was when I was on the live sessions and you could see all the people in the chat, and they, clearly were very inspired by the material and felt strongly about it and were enthusiastic. And so I thought, well, I do at least want to check out to see what these people are saying, but it was a little intimidating because I thought, oh, these people have it all together. And, I don't really have it all together. I don't know how I can do this. But it was from the chat that is what made me decide to check out the people anyway. But what decided to make me, what made me decide to make a post was the comments that I got when I asked for encouragement. So, yeah.
Okay. So you got the encouragements and you're like, okay, I'm going to get involved with the challenge and the homework and stuff like that.
Yes, I had been doing the homework. I just hadn't been doing the videos. And so, yes, when I got the encouragement, including yours, I was like, okay, all right, I can do this. I can do this. And I started with this really short video, but then I got better.
Nice. What would you say has been overall the biggest benefit you've experienced on board the LMA course?
I think that for me, the biggest benefit is, oh my gosh, that is hard to boil down. I guess I would just go back to feeling like I have a future, and being excited about my future. And definitely considering doing another season of LMA because it's so much packed in that it's hard, only so much you can do in 6 weeks. So I feel like I need more time to really even let all of this soak in and keep it fueling me. But I do have a much restored faith in my future. And I feel like I have overcome a huge time and energy vampire suck in my life has been almost completely eradicated. And that is huge because that frees up all kinds of emotions and the feelings, that I was being drained dry. So, yeah, so that was a big one.
So you're no longer giving off energy to things you don't want to focus on, and you're able to focus on that future. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So final question is going to be essentially this. I know you're saying you kind of took that leap pretty fast. There are going to be individuals who might be sitting on the fence right now, who might be quite scared of making this decision. Should I join or should I not? What advice would you give to somebody sitting on the fence right now who's considering and going through this journey, but maybe might be experiencing some fear right now?
Right. I guess I would ask them if they feel they're on the trajectory to live their best lives. If they really feel that if they keep doing everything they're doing right now, they will be living their best lives. Because if they feel that way, then I guess they don't need the course. But most people are not on the trajectory to live their best lives. And why wouldn't you want to do that? And I think that, this has everything and more really that you need to arm yourself with, preparing for living your best life, even though you can't do that in 6 weeks necessarily. That is the launch board. That's the launch pad. So I don't know. I think everybody wants to live their best lives, right? I mean,
Mm.
they in our hearts we do, but unfortunately, people are stuck in even just getting by. I know I was there, so it's hard to think of living your best life when you're just getting by. And so that would be the challenge I would pose to people, like, do you want to just stay
Yeah.
where you're at, just getting by, or do you want to
Mm.
break through?
Well,
So
firstly, it's been a pleasure taking you through this journey. Kind of like what I was saying the other day, though, this is not the end for us, Annalisa. This is just a new beginning. And it's kind of like what you said. It's just, even if you go for it one time, you'll find there are depths to it, right? Once you go for it
yeah,
again, more layers begin to get peeled. So let's keep doing whatever it takes. Keep up the awesome momentum. And thank you so much for your time today. And,
okay.
and for those of you who are checking out this video, of course, also thank you so much for your time. And as always, follow your heart and take action. And let's create the life you're truly born to live.